Oh man. Alright. This is Paleo Diet day 22. Just kidding. Today is the wrap-up day. I'm going to be going over a couple of things in this video, kind of just talking about the diet. I want to hit on my initial thoughts after having done it for 3 weeks straight, a little bit of the history of the diet, what my goals that I had set for myself were, what I actually ended up doing, some of my day-to-day meal choices and grocery shopping choices, and then my takeaways. So yeah, let's hop right into it. So my initial thoughts on the diet are a couple things. First of all, the biggest thing about this diet, and this is just the biggest thing about all diets, it's difficult. It's really inconvenient to follow a diet to a T, especially when you are a full-time college student who is working and is constantly going out and eating with friends. It's not easy, you know? It's a very difficult thing to do, to follow a diet in general, but especially this one. And so that was my biggest initial thought on this diet. It's really difficult, and it's not mentally difficult. It's not difficult because the food was, difficult to get down. Like, it was delicious food and it made me feel good. But the actual process of going out and buying these things and making time to cook, or if I'm out in public at a restaurant, having to say to the waiter, hey, can I get this, but can I get all this taken off of it? It's very difficult. It's not an easy lifestyle. It's not convenient. It's not fun. My other takeaway thoughts are, secondly, it made me feel really good. I felt incredibly mentally clear. I noticed that a lot of brain fog that I experienced pretty frequently as a college student kind of cleared up, honestly, as quickly as the second or third day on the diet. Like, it was very quick reacting for me. And that was just my personal experience. And it may be different for other people, but that's just how it worked for me, and I'm grateful for that. And that's one of the reasons why I'll talk about in the takeaway section why I think I'll be continuing to follow a loose model of the diet. Let's see. So it's difficult. It's not fun to follow. It did make me feel good. The third thing that I really want to hammer home, that I think this is why I think everyone should try a diet. And it's why I'm grateful that I tried this diet. And it's not specific to this diet, but going on this diet made me get really creative with food and how I use food, how I cook, how I use food as an energy source, how I appreciate the different flavors in food that I kind of have missed. So for example, a lot of my carbs on the diet were cut out because the main part of the paleo diet is no grain-based products. And so you think most of today's grain-based products are breads and biscuits and bagels and cereals and oats and stuff like that. Like, you can't have any of that. All of that is off the table. I mean, anything with flour, just normal, like baking flour, is just off the table. And so that forced me to get really creative. I noticed that I saw myself substituting a lot of what I would normally have for bread with different forms of sweet potato. I have fallen in love with sweet potato. It's awesome, it's delicious, it's really easy to use to cook, and you can use it in so many different things. You can use it for fries, you can bake it and chop it up into bits, you can turn it into chips. Like, it's awesome. You can make them sweet, savory. They're phenomenal, and I love them. And that's, all thanks to this diet, I had to get really creative. I also learned that I really enjoy using coconut milk whenever I'm making drinks and stuff and cooking, because it makes everything feel fresh and very alive, I guess. It makes it feel lighter and bright, and it's really good. And I wouldn't have known that without the diet. So that's my initial thoughts. Really, the history on the diet is that it started out in the 60s or 70s. It started out in the 60s or 70s when nutritionists and registered dietitians thought or hypothesized that if we as a human race started following a diet more in line with those of the Paleolithic era, which is before modern agriculture and cattle, which means no grain-based products, no dairy, no dairy products, and I mean, that encompasses a lot. I mean, that means no processed sugars, because that comes from the cane plant, which came from modern agriculture. That means no cheeses, no milk-based products, no like sour cream, no cream cheese, like none of that. It's very all-encompassing. It seems small, but it takes up a lot. And I realize a lot of like how many grain-based products there are out there. It's crazy. But they figure that since the whole idea for the Paleolithic era is that you either, survive and hunt for food and you eat off of that, or you die, then living with that mentality in today's society is going to make you a healthier human being. And I appreciate the sentiment behind the originality of the diet. The thing is, though, is that our culture is so saturated nowadays with these abundance of fast foods and grain-based products and dairy-based products that and products with sugar in them. That's another really big part of the diet, that it's almost counterproductive to go against the grain in today's society, because while you may be a healthier human on the diet, the strain it puts on your lifestyle in the culture that we live in today is almost, in my head, canceling out the value of like your physical and mental health that comes with the diet, because it is just so taxing on you in terms of like how much time it consumes and your convenience of living and your ease of life. It's just very difficult. And so that being said, we'll talk about my goals. My goals for the diet were that I wanted to have around a 2,800 calorie diet every single day. I wanted to eat around 2,800 calories every single day. And my split was going to be about 25% protein, 30% carbohydrates, and 45% fats. Most of my diet did stay relatively in line with that, but there were several days where, due to just the inconvenience of the diet and having to eat what I could get, I didn't meet those standards. I didn't meet the calories per day, and I didn't meet the ratios that I wanted to meet. And if you look on the infographic, it even shows that my average calories per day was somewhere around 2,200, because I could not get enough food that was in line with the diet to fill up my calorie goal for the day. That's how difficult it was. In terms of meals and grocery lists, the vast majority of what I ate was included eggs, meats, a lot of coconut products, sweet potatoes were obviously a big staple, and then produce like vegetables and fruits. My typical meal usually looked something like a fried egg, a sweet potato, some sort of other produce, whether it be a fruit or a vegetable, and some sort of smoothie or drink with coconut milk in it. And then depending on the availability, I would put a meat-based protein in there. So either pork or chicken or steak or something like that. That's what my daily meal kind of looked like. And when I had free days and when I wasn't really busy or running around or anything, that was super convenient to do, because I could go into my kitchen, cook a meal. It would take about 30 minutes and I'd be done and I'd eat it and it would be awesome. But unfortunately, I am a full-time college student. I have a job. I am involved in a lot of things outside of school. And so I'm constantly running around. I'm doing things. I'm constantly late to places. And because of that, I'm constantly behind on cooking. Not to mention, I live with 4, soon to be 5 other roommates, and my kitchen is always dirty. And so it's kind of hard to cook in there sometimes. But overall, I would say that my biggest takeaways from the diet, and what I would tell to other people moving forward, is that you should try a diet. It doesn't have to be the paleo diet. You should try a diet though. It's really good for you. It's good to push you outside of your comfort zone. It's good to experience new things. And honestly, one of the biggest benefits that I took away from this diet was the mental clarity that came with it. I generally feel healthier. I feel cleaner. There's not really any good way to describe that or to scientifically, quantify it, but I have a gut feeling that I feel better. I feel cleaner. I feel like my body is working more efficiently. I feel like there's not as much, holding me down, I guess. And it's a good feeling. And so moving forward, I love a good waffle. I love all sorts of, grain-based products. I love, dairy-based products. And so I will be incorporating those into my diet again. But generally moving forward, I think I will try and tend to go more towards a ratio that looks like a high protein, high fat diet and a lower carb diet. And the carbs that I do eat, I think from now on, I'm going to use those carbs specifically as a fuel source to fuel me for workouts and to regenerate or replenish, I guess, my glycogen stores after I work out. And they're not, I appreciate carbs, but I'm not just going to eat them just whenever, just to add calories to my diet from now on. From now on, I think my calories that I'm going to be eating for day-to-day for burning, my main fuel source will probably be fat for just existing. My workout fuel source will be carb-based, and then I'll have a lot of protein for building up muscle where I lose it in a workout and to preserve body heat. And that's all I've got. So that was 21 days, 3 weeks on the paleo diet. Yeah, thanks for watching.